Dream It, Pin It, Live It. Make Your Vision Boards Work for You by Terry Savelle Foy. Chapter 1. Give yourself permission to dream. What do you have the audacity to imagine? There are three types of people in this world. Those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder, what happened? Mary Kay Ash. As you begin to dream, you're going to have people tell you you're being foolish and that you're living in a fantasy world. You may even tell yourself that. But daring to dream, having the audacity to imagine more for yourself, is the only way to move beyond where you are right now. A little boy in the 6th grade named Steve, who came from a low-income family wearing hand-me-down clothing and suffering from a stuttering problem, was sitting in class listening to his teacher as she gave them a new assignment. She asked the class to write down what they wanted to be when they grew up. Steve had seen a man on television who was very funny, and that became his dream. He decided he wanted to be on television making people laugh. The teacher began calling out student names and sharing with the class what they had written down. When she came to Steve's paper, she stopped. "Little Stevie, come up to the front of the class." Proudly, Steve walked up to the front of the class thinking she was going to encourage him and cheer him on. "Stevie," she said, "why did you write that on your paper?" Stevie answered, "Because I want to be on TV." She said, "Who do you know on TV?" "Anybody in this school ever been on TV?" "No, ma'am," answered Steve. "Has anyone in your family ever been on TV?" she asked. "No, ma'am," Steve said. The teacher told him to take his paper home and write down something more realistic. Steve was confused. Up until that moment, nobody had ever told him what he could or could not become. That very night, Steve shared with his father what happened at school, showing him the paper where he wrote down his dream. His father advised him to read his paper every morning before school and every night before bed, and thank God that one day he will be on TV. Year after year, he did that. Today, Steve Harvey is on television every day, making people laugh. Destiny decisions. Someone once described the game of football as 60,000 people who desperately need exercise watching 22 men who desperately need rest. The game of football parallels life itself. The average person watches from the sidelines, and very few ever really get off the bleachers to get in the game. Isn't it time you started playing in the game of life? Recently, I saw a car commercial describing two different types of people on the road: drivers and passengers. Passengers are simply along for the ride. They sit back, look out the window, and let others decide on the direction they are going. Drivers are in control of their destination. When they make a wrong turn, they take responsibility and get back on the road. They know where they are headed. By the time you finish this book, you will no longer be along for the ride. You will be strategically steering your life in the direction you choose to go, and you will arrive at your desired destination. We all come from a fork along the road where we must make destiny decisions. One of the greatest realizations you will ever come to is when you realize that there is only one person responsible for the outcome of your life, and it's you. You and you alone must take 100% responsibility for where you are, what you have achieved, your health, your wealth, your debt, your body, your success, your relationships, and your current reality. Zig Ziglar said, many years ago as a young aspiring speaker, I heard an older speaker who was quite philosophical say that you are where you are because that's exactly where you want to be. Ziglar confessed, I was broke, in debt, and down in the dumps. It came through loud and clear that I was where I was and what I was because of the decisions and choices I had made in my life. Your decisions affect your destiny. Are you going to just go with the flow of traffic or go the narrow road that leads to success? Remember this, only dead fish go with the flow. Motivational speaker Jim Rohn taught how there are certain emotions that can actually lead to an overall life change. One of those emotions is the feeling of disgust. Typically, we don't equate the word disgust with positive action. However, becoming disgusted with your current circumstances can actually serve as vision and momentum to get you out. For example, seeing a photo of yourself overweight can be enough disgust for you to say, I've had it. I have a vision to get in shape. Having to put your groceries back because you lack the funds to afford them can be enough disgust for you to say, enough is enough. I have a vision to increase my income. Another breakdown in your car during rush hour traffic can be enough disgust for you to say, that's it, I have a vision for a new car. Maintaining the same salary for the past 10 years can be enough disgust for you to say, no more, I have a vision for promotion. Your credit card decline at the restaurant in front of your friends can be enough disgust for you to go and say, I'm making a change now. I have a vision to be debt-free. Disgust is what you feel when you're tired of being embarrassed, ashamed, and humiliated with where you are, and you develop a compelling vision to change. It all starts with making a decision to take 100% responsibility of where you are today and where you're headed tomorrow. And that's exactly what you are doing right now, or you wouldn't be reading this book about vision. In Dr. Dave Martin's book, The 12 Traits of the Greats, he tells the story of a man named Tim who reached that emotion of utter disgust with himself. Tim grew up in the middle-class family of 5 brothers and 1 sister. At the age of 11, he lost his dad in a tragic car accident. Tim struggled all through school and into college. Because of the pent-up anger he had inside due to his father's death, Tim began using drugs. He felt sorry for himself. He was mad at the world, and destruction was the result. Eventually, his decisions resulted in a prison sentence when he was caught selling drugs. In that cold prison cell, trapped behind bars, Tim had a defining moment. He began to realize that he had no one to blame but himself. He woke up. He took full responsibility of where he had landed in life. He began investing in himself by reading books constantly. As his mind began to expand, so did his dreams. He began organizing prison talent shows where he was the MC. A naturally gifted comedian, he began to embrace his talent for humor. Once released from the penitentiary, he was able to land a great job at a talent agency. Not long after, people began to notice him. Tim even turned down a role from Disney to play a major role in a TV show. He had his own vision for his life, and he began to pursue it wholeheartedly. His dream was to star in his own TV show that reflected his personality and sense of humor. It was a show about a handyman on TV, and that show became a major hit called Home Improvement, starring Tim Allen. 13 years after his release from prison, Tim Allen was starring in the top TV program in America, had a number one book on the New York Times bestsellers list, and had the lead in a major motion picture, The Santa Claus. It all began when Tim Allen reached a level of disgust with where he was and began making a destiny decision to change. He obtained a compelling vision of where he wanted to be in life and began taking steps to achieve it. He went from a drug pusher to a box office millionaire. Don't settle where you are. In Genesis 11:31, we read the story of Abraham and his father Terah, who left the city of Ur and set out for Canaan, the promised land. Terah fully intended to lead his family into the land of abundance. However, the Bible records that Terah stopped along the way and settled in Haran. He was essentially saying, this is good enough. It's not what I wanted, but I can survive here. Many times we do the same thing when we set out to achieve our dreams and goals. It doesn't happen as quickly as we wanted. It appears hopeless at times. We don't have the support of those around us. We end up settling for less. Abraham's father missed out on an opportunity God had for him. He stopped short. He settled for much less than God had promised him because he stopped dreaming. Don't settle. God has so much more for you. Give yourself the permission to dream bigger. I read a story Joel Osteen shared in his book, Your Best Life Now, about a famous mountain climbing resort in the Swiss Alps that caters to businesses. They encourage employees to climb the mountain and build team spirit. They meet at the bottom of the mountain for a pep talk and can hardly wait to climb to the top and take their victory photo together. About halfway up the mountain, there sits a beautiful alpine restaurant with a breathtaking scenic view. About noon, the weary hikers trail into this restaurant, take off their hiking gear, sit by the fire, eat a delicious lunch, and enjoy a hot cup of coffee. Interestingly, after they are well fed and comfortable, less than half continue the climb to the top. Less than half. The story revealed that this majority who decide to stay are not incapable of climbing to the top, nor is the climb too difficult for them. It's simply that they have tasted a bit of success and decided that it's good enough. They are satisfied with what they have accomplished. What a shame it is to quit before you reach your goal. Never settle where you are. Never be satisfied with what you have when God has so much more for you. He never intended for you to reach a certain level and plateau. He desires you to climb to new heights, explore new horizons, and dream as big as you possibly can. Don't limit God. He is capable of doing impossible things in your life, but you can actually prevent him from doing them by thinking small. If you think in terms of just enough to get by, then that's exactly what you'll produce in your life. Les Brown said, "You cannot be wimpy out. You cannot be wimpy out there on the dream-seeking trails. Dare to break through barriers to find your own path." You have the audacity to dream that. What do successful people have in common? What does it take to go from wishing things would change to living your dreams? In one word, it is audacity. This is a powerful word that can alter the rest of your life if you will be brave enough to obtain it. Audacity is having nerve, courage, daring, boldness, fearlessness, grit, and the willingness to take risks. In 1976, a young Austrian bodybuilder with a thick accent, a name nobody could pronounce, and a box office disappointment under his belt, audaciously declared to sports columnists, "I'm going to be the #1 box office star in all of Hollywood." Arnold Schwarzenegger had the audacity to dream. Trying not to show doubt or shock over Arnold's big dream, the reporter said, "How do you plan to become Hollywood's top star?" "It's the same process I used in bodybuilding," Schwarzenegger explained. "What you do is create a vision of who you want to be and then live into the picture as if it is already true. When you develop the audacity to dream, to get out of the mundane or the rut you may have found yourself in, people will think you're crazy. They will laugh at your dreams. You must remember they aren't dreaming the same dreams you are. Who cares if they laugh? This is your life, your future, your destiny that is on the line. You will cower down to the opinions of others, or you will develop the boldness to live big. You must have the audacity to believe that you can achieve your impossible dreams. The key word is that sentence. In that sentence is you. You will achieve in your life what you believe you can. Schwarzenegger reminds us of this powerful truth. Even though there are so many people around that would say, "No, you will never make it because you have an accent, your body's too big, your name, Schwanchen, Stritzel, whatever, you can pronounce that," but you know, it doesn't matter if anyone knows and if anyone else believes. All you have to do is go towards that vision. If you have a very clear vision of where you want to go, and if you're willing to put the work in it, no matter what it takes to get that vision, this vision to turn into reality, then you can accomplish basically anything you want. What do you have the audacity to dream? What do you have the nerve to believe you can achieve in your life? What do you have the courage to pursue? If you want to develop such grit in your life that people say to you, you have the audacity to believe that can happen, you confidently respond, as a matter of fact, that's exactly what I have, audacity. Some people say that achieving success is like knowing the combination to a lock. If you know the combination, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, 16 or 65, have an IQ of 35 or 135, the lock has to open. Unfortunately, most people are going through life without the combination. I want to reveal to you the combination to living your dreams. Your life is a reflection of your thoughts. Before you ever achieve success, you must first have the audacity to believe in yourself and your dreams. Your beliefs are simply a reflection of the dominating thoughts being entertained in your mind. According to Proverbs 23:7, you become what you think about. That is the law of attraction summed up in one scripture verse. During an appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Jim Carrey admitted to the audience that before he ever hit stardom or achieved success, he visualized himself succeeding. As a struggling young Canadian with no money, he drove his old truck up Mulholland Drive in Los Angeles every night and would visualize having directors interested in him. He would imagine people he respected actually saying to him, I like your work. In 1985 and 1987, says Carrey, I had nothing at the time, but it just made me feel better. I would drive home and think, I do have these things. They are out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet. The images you visualize in your mind become your reality. Your mind is like a magnet. Whatever gets in your mind and stays there, you will attract in your life. This law works positively and negatively. If your mind is constantly thinking negative thoughts, you will attract negative circumstances. If you're constantly thinking you are worthless, you will attract people in your life who treat you as worthless. If you're constantly thinking poverty thoughts, you will attract a poverty lifestyle. At the same time, if your thoughts are positive, you will attract positive circumstances. If you're constantly expecting good things to happen for you, you will attract favorable opportunities. It's really that simple. Literally, like attracts like. Your thoughts are the pathway to your destiny. Your life today is a reflection of the dominating thoughts you allowed to take up residence in your mind yesterday. That may be hard to swallow, but according to Proverbs, it is the truth. Your life today is a result of your thoughts about yourself yesterday. The good news is you can change your thoughts. Proverbs 23:7. Whatever a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Ralph Waldo Emerson said a man becomes what he thinks about most of the time. There are two blind men in the Bible who approached Jesus asking if he would restore their sight. I think it's interesting how Jesus put the responsibility back on them and simply asked one powerful question. Do you believe I'm able to do this? Their response says it all. I want you to notice, without hesitation, they replied, Yes, Lord. Think about that. Without questioning, without discussing, without trying to figure out how this could happen, they just believed. Then the Lord said in response to them, It shall be done to you according to your faith. See Matthew 9:29. The Message translation communicates this verse another way. Become what you believe. When you get into a place in your life where you can imagine God asking you that same question, do you believe I can do this for you? And you respond without hesitation, yes, Lord, then you are ready to achieve the impossible. I believe God is saying to you today, become what you believe. If you can believe it, if you can believe to live in that house, if you can believe to own that business, if you can believe to weigh that amount, if you can believe to be healed in your body, if you can believe for restoration for your family, if you can believe to pastor that church, you can become what you believe. In 1969, my dad was the owner of Jerry's Paint and Body Shop in Shreveport, Louisiana. His business was failing and suffering from enormous debt. his marriage was falling apart, and he was running from God as fast as he could. One night, out of desperation, he finally surrendered his life to God and cried out, Lord, I'm a failure. I'm a nobody. What would you even want with my life? On the inside, he heard these words, Don't worry about it, son. I am a master at making champions out of nobodies. That very moment, he started believing he was a champion. He changed his thinking. He changed the poor self-image he had into that of someone who could achieve impossible dreams. Currently, he has 7 offices in various locations around the world, an international television broadcast airing in over 200 nations, has written over 70 books, and made an impact on humanity. Bottom line, he had the audacity to believe that God could use a paint and body man to change the world. To dream the impossible dream. Think of yourself. Imagine yourself and seeing yourself living the dream in your mind. Everything gets its start in your imagination first. You have to hold on to the thoughts that agree with your dreams. You become what you think about most. You'll also attract what you think about most. My parents celebrated their honeymoon in 1966 at Six Flags over Texas in Arlington, Texas. As they walked through the amusement park hand in hand, they stopped at an outdoor pavilion featuring local talent singing and dancing on stage. One young man began to belt out a powerful song that soon became their theme for life. It was titled To Dream the Impossible Dream, and my parents have done exactly that and done it well. If your dreams seem possible, you're not dreaming big enough. God has given you 2 types of sight, natural sight and spiritual sight. Natural or physical sight sees what's all around you. Spiritual sight sees within, sees the invisible, and sees what others can't see. Some call it seeing with the eyes of faith. The Bible reveals story after story of people like you and me who put a demand on their faith to see impossible dreams come to life. Abraham and Sarah waited years to conceive a baby. She had to get an image of that impossibility on the inside of her before God could perform the miracle of Isaac. The lady with the issue of blood had to see herself touching the hem of Jesus' garment before she could achieve her dream of divine health. David had to see himself killing Goliath before he could ever release the stone. What do you need to see inside before God can produce it on the outside? Do you need to see yourself rising to the top of the company, singing before thousands of people, paying off your credit card debt, graduating from college, pastoring a church, hosting your own TV show, selling your first house, weighing your ideal weight, vacationing in Honolulu, Hawaii, driving the car of your dreams, having a family? God loves being able to show us how well He does the impossible. So dream big enough for Him to do that. Visualize success. The most successful people in the world visualize their desired results in life. They are very clear about what they want to achieve. Unsuccessful people are hazy, unclear, and uncertain about tomorrow. They just wake up and see what happens. God said in Isaiah 43:19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it?" In other words, He is getting ready to pour His favor on you, promote you, increase you, expand your influence. But He's asking you the question, do you not perceive it? To perceive means to notice, to identify, to comprehend, and to see. God is asking you today, do you see it? Do you see where He wants to take you? In other words, are you preparing for more? Do you have a clear vision? Can you see beyond where you are today? Are you anticipating promotion? Can you imagine big things happening in your life? You cannot have a larger life with a restricted imagination. Your imagination is extremely powerful. It is the birthplace for all great ideas and dream pursuits. If you can't imagine it, you'll never have it. I am so convinced of the mind's ability to conceive an idea using your imagination before you've ever materialized it in your life that I wrote a book called Imagine Big. Your dreams should be impossible. They should stretch you, challenge you, and force you to grow. Any successful person who has achieved admirable dreams has had to take a giant step of faith into the impossible. Walt Disney, for example, was known to be an impossibility thinker. He was constantly seeking to conquer things no one had ever considered. In fact, it's been said that when he would meet with his board of directors, he would toss out ideas across the table. If everyone agreed on the idea, then he would tell them, that's not what we're going to do. Again, he would toss out ideas. If everyone told him it was impossible and that nobody had ever done that before, he would inform them that was exactly what they were going to do. Walt Disney was an impossibility thinker, and you should be too. I have discovered that God wants your dreams so big and so outside the realm of possibility that there is no way your dream can occur unless you use your faith. Hebrews 11:6 tells us that it is impossible to please God without faith. I interpret that to mean if your dreams are impossible and you have no idea how this could ever happen, unless God comes on the scene and helps you, then you've probably got the right dream. In Hebrews 11:1, it says, faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. God desires for you to have the kind of faith He wants your total dependency on Him to see these dreams manifest. You are making God smile when you dream impossible dreams. Let me remind you that God enjoys using ordinary people to do extraordinary things. He believes in you so much more than you believe in yourself. Everything begins with your ability to envision, imagine, and conceive that image inside. When you sit quietly with God, you should be able to see more than you see when your eyes are open. If it makes you breathe deep and think, this is big, great, you're on the right track. Warning, the number one question that will stop you from dreaming big is how. Don't ask the question. It's not your job to figure out how. Your job is to dream the big dream. See beyond today. There's power in just taking time to see beyond where you are today. Project forward 5 years into the future and imagine your ideal life. Do not give thought to what is possible or not possible. Just get a clear picture of what you desire to have. When you think in terms of what would give you the greatest peace in your life, what do you imagine? What would you be doing? Are you married? Do you have a baby? Are your kids in college? Are you working? Where do you work? Are you self-employed? Are you ministering? Are you teaching a class? Did you write that first book? Did you go on your first missions trip? Are you living overseas? Is your debt paid off? What are you driving? Is your car paid for? How much money do you have saved? Where have you traveled? Where do you live? What does your house look like? Are you at your ideal body weight? Who are you helping? What does your life look like in 5 years from now? Think about what comes to your mind when you read the following statements. What would you want to accomplish before you die if you were told you only had 1 year left to live? What have you always wanted to do but haven't done yet? How do you want to be remembered? What is God speaking to your heart to accomplish? What activities do you want to experience? How would you spend your last 24 hours? What would you do if money was not a problem? How would you live your life if you didn't have to work anymore? Thinking about where you want to be in the future helps you decide how to live today. Decide where you want to end up in life. Plan your life down to the last detail and then let God go beyond that. Do not be worried, anxious, or concerned about the process of getting from where you are to where you want to be. Just dream, imagine, and focus on designing your ideal life. God has so much more for you than you presently have. Your greatest days are ahead of you, not behind you. You must enlarge your vision, see what's ahead for you, and get motivated to fulfill your unique life assignment down to the last detail. In order to do this, you must have the audacity to dream. Why am I so passionate about seeing you fulfill your vision and dreams and goals? Because we don't have time to waste. I don't want you to repeat this year what you did last year. Now is the time for you to get clear on what God wants you to do with your life and start taking action. Have a mission here on earth. You have a mission here on earth. Some people say that life is like a carousel. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes you just go round and round. Some say that life is like a deck of cards. You just have to play the hand you've been dealt. Others claim that life is a journey, a dance, a battle. Personally, I believe life is an assignment. God has given you a unique assignment to complete during your time here on earth. And then it's over. You either turn in the assignment complete or incomplete. This is the scripture that drives me. I glorified you on earth by completing down to the last detail what you assigned me to do. John 17:4. It's time you aim for your future. Full speed ahead. And it all begins with giving yourself permission to dream and to dream big. When did you last give yourself permission to dream? I received this email from Lily in Florida. I guess it was when I was in my 20s that I stopped allowing myself to dream, convinced myself that dreams are just fairy tales. They are silly and hurtful for girls like me. I felt I needed to deal with the reality and the cruelty of life. Terry did awaken something that was very deep in my heart, something wonderful, never to be hidden again. Today, here I am, 65 years old, writing in a book of dreams, all those things that I believe will bring some joy into this dull heart. I can see it all. I am having fun doing it, and it's not silly at all. I even set myself some goals and started working at making it happen. You are never too old. It is so important not to waste any time, but that doesn't mean you should give up or feel you failed because you aren't where you thought you'd be at your age. What Lily said is true. You're never too old to start working toward a dream. Proof that your age does not matter. At age 18 months, Brooke Shields lands her first commercial in the Ivory Snow Baby, as the Ivory Snow Baby. At age 8, Mozart composes his first symphony. At age 12, Jesus astounds a group of religious leaders with his wisdom and insight. At age 18, Mick Jagger debuts in his new rock band, the Rolling Stones. At age 21, Steve Jobs introduces the Apple computer, created with young colleague Steve Wozniak. At age 31, Bill Gates makes his first $1 billion. At age 40, Lucille Ball debuts as Lucy Ricardo on the TV comedy I Love Lucy. At age 44, Sam Walton founds Walmart. At age 53, Walt Disney opens a theme park in Anaheim, California called Disneyland. At age 58, Frank Sinatra, retired for 2 years, reignites his career. At age 65, Winston Churchill takes office as Britain's Prime Minister. At age 69, after 22 years of work, Noah Webster publishes the landmark An American Dictionary of the English Language. At age 70, George Brunstad becomes the oldest person to swim the English Channel. At age 71, after 27 years in prison, South African Nelson Mandela gains his freedom. At age 77, astronaut John Glenn returns to space on the Space Shuttle Discovery mission. At age 78, Grandma Moses begins her career as a serious painter. At age 79, Ben Franklin invents bifocal eyeglasses. At age 30, Jessica Tandy wins her first Oscar for her role in Driving Miss Daisy. At age 89, Frank Lloyd Wright completes the Guggenheim Museum. At age 90, swimmer Walt Pfeiffer sets 6 world master records at a meet in Long Beach, California. At age 100, British actress Gwen Francon Davies appears in the Sherlock Holmes movie, The Master Blackmailer. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. C.S. Lewis.